Down the Barrel Podcast with Jimmy, Dino, and Jared.
All right, and we are back with another episode of Down the Barrel, and today we are joined by some folks from the Des Moines Valley chapter of the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association to talk about the Kilen Woods State Park Youth Hunt, and they just wrapped up their 10th annual this year. And so we're just interested to learn more about that, and it sounds like we're actually going to hear from someone who's participated in this hunt. So I'm excited to get their perspective.
Yeah, and who are we talking to from the chapter today?
Well, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Right.
Well, my name is Brian Bergling. I am currently the president of the chapter, and I'm also the state delegate for our chapter. I've been the president for, I think, 5 years, something like that. Been involved with this hunt since year 2. Kids have been involved. Both my kids were able to hunt it in 2017, and then my son Wyatt was able to hunt it back to back 2019 and 2020. 2020 we only had 7 people apply for it, and one of them ended up with a broken arm or something and couldn't do it, so he got put in place of them. So he's not here because I don't want him telling any of his stories. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's never good when kids get to tell the truth about dad's hunting stories, right?
Ever.
And that's why you will never see my father on this podcast, because you're getting my perspective on
Right.
Exactly.
I would love to have Joe on this podcast.
No, because then he'd tell you about how he shoots bigger bucks than me.
That's true.
I'm sure
Not this year.
a few of those stories will probably come out anyway. I get ribbed about a couple of them every year. So,
Right. Well, Brian, who do you have there with you?
I've got Dennis Korberg, who you guys know, former state president and our current treasurer of our chapter, banquet chairman, and pretty much jack of all trades, fountain of knowledge. And then we've got Matt Peterson. He was involved in the very first Kilen Woods hunt back in 2015, and he brought his hat in that he got, and doesn't even have the date of it on it because it was the first one, and we didn't know if we were going to have any more after that one.
Wow. It's because I wasn't there to put the date on it. That's
There you go,
yes.
Dino.
Yeah.
Somebody messed up.
You know how many articles of clothing I have that say first annual, whatever, and there was never a second annual?
So see, they did it right because there's like, let's just wait.
Right.
And I will say that this year was only the second year that the hats did not have the date on them. And the main reason for that is the kids this year got a engraved buck knife with a gut hook.
Nice.
And it was engraved as 10th annual Kilen Woods hunt, because anytime you can do something like this for 10 years, it's pretty awesome.
It is.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no
It is
doubt. 10
amazing
years.
you guys could
Yeah,
run it
10
that
years
long,
is,
and obviously, hopefully another 10 to go.
Yeah.
Right.
So
As long as I can just get it by somebody and at 20 we can give them a gun.
Well, why don't you walk us through, how did this hunt get started? How does it work? What is the Des Moines Valley chapter of MDHA's role in putting this on? I think we could start off with a little history.
Right. Yeah. And
10 years is impressive.
It is. And it's obviously going to keep going.
So the first year I was honestly I had just found out what MDHA was in 2014. So I'm going to let Dennis do the origin story kind of deal, because he has been involved in it since the very first year. So,
well, the state park hunt probably started fostering within the chapter probably a couple of years prior to 2015. that we had one family that didn't have any place to hunt. They hunted public land. She had 2 daughters, and she kind of fostered the idea of us, why don't we try and get Kilen Woods to allow us, MDHA, Des Moines Valley chapter, to sponsor a youth hunt in that state park. So I went to the director of the park, talked to him, and then ended up having to go to the wildlife manager to get them to buy in on it. And they said, yeah, we can do it, but we're really concerned with the safety aspect. Being 202 acres is not a lot of room to put somebody in there and just let them go willy-nilly, and especially young hunters. So we said, well, what about if we would erect ground blinds and only allow them to hunt from the ground blind? And so it took us about a year to kind of put the whole thing together. So we decided that we would go ahead and do that. So we ended up soliciting funds to buy 7 ground blinds and chairs for that. And then we went out and spent 3 weekends just looking the lay of the land, where we could put them in areas where we could see that there were deer traffic. And so that's how we set it up. Well, Kilen Woods it's a small park. It lays along the Des Moines River. It is really rugged because it's in the old channel of the river that was cored out over the years and years. So there's a lot of little fingers and draws in there, but there's still areas where there's quite a bit of open area that we could hunt. So, then we had to kind of decide on what we were going to do. How are we going to handle applications? How do we do the drawing? How do we allow kids to get a blind? Is it going to be first come, first serve? And then we also talked a little bit about it. A couple of the other guys says, well, why don't we look at this as a kind of a hunt that would be like something that you would buy? So, a full guided hunt. So we decided that, yep, that's the way we were going to go. We put the blinds out. We take them to the blinds. We feed them a good meal in the morning. We feed them lunch at noon. We feed them dinner on Saturday. And then Sunday we do breakfast, dinner, and then release them, as well as assisting all of the hunters to get their deer removed from the park, because everything in the park is uphill. So everything goes
I can
uphill.
vouch for that.
Both ways.
Yeah.
I can vouch for that.
So there's you'll hear us possibly talk about it. There's Dinosaur Ridge, there's Heart Attack Hill, there's the Sledding Hill, which I would never want to go down that on a sled, because they're about 50 yards at the bottom of the hill is a T intersection with willows, and if you happen to get through the willows, you're in the Des Moines River. So
That sounds like a blast.
And then some of the other ones, it's what your parents used to say about going uphill both ways to church, to school. Yeah, that's Kilen Woods.
Yeah, it sounds like a good hunt to cut your teeth on. Right?
Yep. So we decided that the DNR would do all the applications, and they would select the winners, and then once the winners were selected, the local park would draw out of the hat for what blind they were assigned to. And then first few years we didn't ask the mentors or the hunters to actually set blinds. Now we've kind of changed that to the Sunday before the hunt. we asked the mentor and the hunter to assist with setting the blind so they know how to get in and out, and they got an understanding of what the lay of the land is so they can, kind of tell where deer traffic is and in and out. So that's something that we have added to that. It has worked exceptionally well. I can say that I don't know that I have ever heard a hunter say that they didn't enjoy themselves, because it is very much like a guided hunt. In fact, I remember one gentleman and his son, they were from Fairmont, and he made the statement to us at I forget what meal it was, but he says, I have been on many, many paid guided hunts that have not been run as well as what you guys are running this one.
Nice.
Wow. That is awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
In the DNR office, this last year we do an orientation Friday night before the hunt, and all the kids have to be there. The mentors, they have to prove that they're shooting copper. They have to prove that they are have their license, and they have to have their acceptance letter with them and signed. But the DNR person that does his part of the orientation said that if it wasn't for our chapter, this hunt would not exist. Because, there's other state parks down by us that have hunts, and those kids, they get an orientation Friday and a grid of where they can set up their ground blind or deer stand or whatever, and they're on their own for the rest of the weekend. We've been out tracking deer with headlamps, and one year we ended up one of the guys used thermal to get one, because it ended up on the ice in the river and went down the river about a half mile, and that's how we ended up finding it, was with thermal. So, so some of this stuff is above. Some of the guys that I have to say, they go above and beyond what I would probably do. So,
right. You weren't out there with your scuba gear looking for that deer?
No, but I do have.
It looks like Dennis might have a story about scuba gear.
No.
Orange Speedo.
But I've actually got been in contact with the Minnesota recovery dogs.
Yeah.
Game tracking dogs. I got in touch with them through Deer and Turkey Classic a few years back, and have a few of their people on speed dial. That's our very, very last resort if we need them. I haven't had to use them yet, but because we don't, since it's only 202 acres, if you start sending a dog through there,
right,
that can cause. There's no more deer in the park.
I mean, we've had dogs come through there.
Yeah, we had somebody a few years back that decided to let their coon dogs loose on one end of the park, and they ran the entire from one end to the other, and all you could hear is them howling and trying to get the coyotes out.
So with this hunt, obviously they shut it down for you guys. Can you hunt any other time in there, or is it only for this specific time?
There's 2 hunts in there. The second one was started 2 years ago because we were not able to harvest enough deer to control the population. Yep. And they added a late season hunt that this year will start on the 27th of December. It's antlerless only. There's 10 hunters that get selected. I've had several conversations with the DNR about that one, because you get a choice between deer permit area or a special hunt. So somebody that has to put in for a dope permit can apply for this as well. So they're working on that one to make it a separate lottery.
Right. Yeah, and you said, so this hunt's a lottery. Do you know how many people apply every year?
Find out
7 to 33 is what
The normal is? Okay.
Yeah. The 1 year that Brian's son got in, because the other one didn't, there was only 7 that year. They don't really tell us, and I don't understand why. They say it has something to do with privacy, and I mean, when I questioned them about it, I said, well, what's private about a number?
Right.
That's all we're asking for. I know that one of the years we had 33, and I think that's probably the highest number of applicants we've had.
Okay.
We've had hunters. We've had hunters from as far as Adrian, which is up down in the southwest. That's probably about 45, 50 miles. We've had 2 or 3 kids out of the metro area that have come down and hunted. We've had them as far over as Blue Earth. We've had a couple, one out of Blue Earth that I can remember, one out of Fairmont, Mankato. That's a story I'd like to tell at some time about that gentleman. And
Those Mankato folks, right?
Right.
couple 3 out of the New Ulm area. So
Nice.
oddly, this year we had 1 out of Mountain Lake, 1 out of Jeffers, and 4 out of Lakefield.
and 1 at Butterfield.
Oh yeah, Butterfield. Yeah.
We have 1 young lady, and that's the other thing. We've had girls and boys get in.
Okay.
And this hunt has been, over the years, it has been different in how it's a 2 deer limit for this hunt. Now, when it first started, it was 1, and it was any deer to start with.
It was a regular use license.
Yeah, it was a regular youth license to start, and then it went up to a 2 deer limit, and we had issues with, there was a feeling of people around that there was a 30-point buck behind every tree in Kilen Woods for a while, and we had people that were trophy hunting, had like 15 deer does walk by them and not waiting for a buck. So it ended up turning into an earn a buck license here not too long ago.
22.
Yeah, in 22. And since then we haven't harvested a lot because, of course, once you tell people you have to shoot doe first, the deer somehow know that, and every single one of them is a buck that walks by.
Right.
That's usually how it works for me too.
Right. It's just that's the way it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like this year, for example, we had out of the 6 hunters, we had 2 deer harvested, 2 does. But if they would have been allowed to shoot a buck that walked by them, we probably would have had 5 deer harvested by Sunday afternoon. So we're in the process of, I guess,
Asking him to drop
that.
the earn a buck status on it, because getting back to the origin of the whole hunt, we looked at it as a chapter as the ability to have youth that may or may not have other places to hunt come to an area that is rich in wildlife. In other words, there's a lot of deer down there, and have an opportunity to shoot something. And then when the manager of the state park, who is retired now, decided that they were going to make it earn a buck, because there are some of the other state parks around here that are earn a buck or antlerless only, and he never asked us our feelings of that. Of course, you guys know me. I abruptly replied with my comments.
No.
And so I put together some information with some numbers and stuff for him, and sent it to the acting administrator now, and he replied back that he was forwarding that with the understanding that he is in full favor of removing the Ernebuck, so allowing the kids to shoot whatever they want, because we all know that if you give a kid an opportunity to harvest and then allow him to harvest, that anchors their wants much more than just going out there and sitting and watching a deer go by that
absolutely.
they can't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing worse than having a 10-point buck walk in front of you and not be able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes you're sleeping. Sometimes you're sleeping.
Sometimes, well, that's not the worst thing that I've heard. I recall one year where the dad knocked the daughter's cell phone out of her hand and said, "Would you shoot the damn thing?" Standing about 10 yards out in front of their blind, and she was busy playing Candy Crush or something on her phone.
That's like hunting with Dean.
Right.
I don't play Candy Crush.
Sorry, what is that game?
Blackjack.
Blackjack.
So for my part, one of the things that I really enjoy about this hunt is, since it's local for me, I'm also a hunter safety. I do hunter safety. I have this last year was my 11th year doing it. And one of the awesome things for me is I went back and looked, and 10 of the kids that I had go through firearm safety with me, either an online field day or classroom, have done Kilen Woods.
Well, that's cool.
And seeing the kids out there doing it, in fact, 2 of them this year were actually, they took the firearm safety from me this summer, and they actually got their, I brought my computer out, and any kid that wanted to apply for it, I paid the dollar out of my own pocket and had them, did it for them at the range day.
Awesome.
It was certified, their parents had to pay for the certification, of course,
Right,
but I paid
yeah.
paid for but yeah, that was awesome. Getting pictures from those kids is something that makes me smile when I see a picture from any kid that I've had in firearm safety of them with their first deer, first pheasant, anything. Just knowing that they're using what they learned and they're enjoying themselves.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Oh yeah, that's why you do that.
Where was the one from, Dennis, that they had to borrow a gun and borrow the Blaze Orange and everything?
That's the Mankato.
Yeah.
I don't remember what year it was, but it was back a few years.
I think it was 18.
And so finding out in the morning, because the campground is basically closed because the park is closed, but they do allow the hunters to either camp or bring their campers in for the weekend of the hunt.
Oh, nice.
So come to find out, this boy and his grandpa or dad come over, and it was a cold year. I think it got down to like 17 or 18 that night. And they were camping at the campground with a nylon tent. And he had borrowed his grandpa's shotgun. His dad didn't hunt. Has never hunted deer. But he says, "Son, if you want to do it, Grandpa's got a gun that we can use. You apply for it. If you get drawn, I'll help you. I'll take you out and hunt." So they come down, and sure enough, he shoots this deer opening morning about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And we've got real strict requirements on our hunt. So you go out and you hunt on your blind, you stay in your blind until 11 o'clock, and then you come back in for lunch. If you shoot and hit something, you text us and let us know that you made a shot. Is it fatal? Is it not fatal? Go look to see if you've got blood. And he texted back and said that I shot, and he says, we've got blood, but that's all we know. Okay, stay there. At 11 o'clock, we went back out to recover, and there was, I think, 3 or 4 of us. I don't remember exactly what it was, but we were following it down into a draw, and we're going along down in there and talking to him back and forth, and we get down into the bottom of the draw, and I see the deer laying next to a log, and he doesn't see it. And I says, come on up here, get next to me, so we can follow this blood, because it wasn't heavy blood. It was probably a drop of blood every, I would say 3 to 5 feet. And so we're going along, and I says, pay attention now. I says, where's it moving? And he stepped over another log and looked up, and the deer was laying right there facing us. And he says, is that the deer? Quietly, because we didn't, if it was still alive, we didn't want it to jump and run away. Right. I said, yeah. He says, is it dead? I said, pretty sure it is. I said, let's take a couple more steps. So we took a couple more steps, and then emotions erupted.
Right.
I don't know how much target practice he had done. He had shot that deer at probably 50 to 55 yards, and he'd hit it pretty good, because it only went about 70 yards downhill. And we got back to dinner, and Dad was saying that, that's when I learned the rest of the story. Never hunted, wanted to hunt, had seen stuff, probably had some kids in class that had hunted, but the opportunity for that person to come out and go through a hunt and have people there that enjoy hunting and enjoy teaching is so memorable for that person.
Right.
Yeah. So, and that brings me to the thing was copper that Brian mentioned at copper, because the law is that within state parks, which is state land, you must use copper,
right?
Except for the shotgun zone. Yes. Youth hunts in the shotgun zone do not require copper, because when they initiated this 2 years ago, you could not find a box of copper for a 20 gauge.
Right.
You could not find them. That's a whole nother story I could get into.
Right.
Well, I'll give you the short version. The short version is Dennis sent some letters, strongly worded letters, to several commissioners at the DNR to get
I'll say it again. No.
Not Dennis.
We actually had one of the dads that is a member of our chapter went out and bought a AR style pistol chambered in .308 for his daughter to use because he could get copper for that gun.
Yeah.
I think it was more of an excuse to buy a new gun, but
Wow. We all had those excuses, right?
Right. Do we really?
We did have another family that he went out and bought a new shotgun for him and bought 10 boxes of copper shells, and he could not get that gun to pattern at 50 yards with copper. And it was rifle barrel.
Wow.
He threw it away, threw copper or threw lead in there, and at 50 yards he had a inch and a quarter pattern.
Yeah.
Crazy, Bill.
The guns, the gun just would not shoot it. Now, you know very well. You take a Savage 220, and you throw some good copper into that thing, and you'll have an inch and a half pattern at 150 yards.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, that's it. But this was a pump shotgun, and it just would not shoot them.
Yeah.
What'd you do? So when you guys get a deer down there, who do you guys actually run them through the process of gutting the deer? And I mean, how far do you go with these kids?
All right.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk to Matt, our expert here.
We're down there. Matt was hunting. There was one other deer taken on Saturday morning.
Yep.
Matt, you shot yours about what, 2:30 in the afternoon?
It was in the afternoon because we moved the blind.
Yep, because he was down in a blind where we thought was a good spot, and
They were running up on the hillside.
and he had his 20 gauge, and he had, I don't know how many, but I'm going to say he had 30 rounds of ammo with him. And
That's wishful thinking.
that deer at 100 to 150 yards, and he says, they're all in the other spot. Can we move that blind? We sure can. So we picked the blind up.
We actually had moved a picnic table because it was the only flat spot to put the blind on the hillside.
Yeah, let's go set up in Camp 15.
It's right on that sledding hill.
Yep.
We got the only flat spot.
Whatever works.
What were you, 12?
10 years ago? So I've been like 13.
13.
Yep.
So, and he's three times as big as he was then. I'd say he was maybe 5 foot, and if he weighed over 85 pounds soaking wet, I'd be.
Yeah, there's no way.
So, we went down to recover his deer, and it was a doe fawn, I believe, wasn't it? Or was it a buck fawn?
No, it was just like a yearling fawn. It wasn't or a yearling doe. It wasn't a fawn.
Yeah,
but it was
so-
still a pretty small doe.
Yeah, but
30-point fawn.
Right. Yeah, I've seen them.
So anyway, we had game cart, threw it up on the game cart, and he says, I'm going to drag that up the hill myself. So he hooks the belt around his thing, and he's trudging away up the hill. And I mean, that sledding hill's a steep hill. I don't know what the incline is, but
I'd say it's at
You got a
least
picture of it? You could send that into him and they can look at it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, so he's pulling away on it, and I'm on the back of the cart pushing. So,
Oh, you were holding on to it so I couldn't move. Let's get the story.
So anyway, we got it up, and actually that was the first year. So we actually butchered the deer right at the park.
No,
Then they decided that we couldn't do
Nice.
that. So now we can't do any hanging, any butchering there. So
just in case somebody does pull in that might not look good.
Yeah. But the field dressing though, you're still doing with the kids, right?
Right.
well, the field dressing, if you go back to that non-toxic rule, if you use a toxic bullet, which is lead, and harvest an animal on that in the state park, you cannot field dress it
Right.
at the city kill. So we just blanket said, okay, we're going to bring everything out whole, and there's a maintenance shop there. We'll field dress them at the maintenance shop, and then we got a chance to wash them up and wash your hands up and stuff like that. But we assist in all of the full thing, making sure that they got them tagged. We ask them to make sure that they get them registered and go through all of that stuff with them.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I definitely want to hear more from Matt and kind of your experience with this whole program. But before we do that, I want to know what the plan is for next year with the Kilen Woods hunt and the elimination of the shotgun zone. Are we going to stick with slug guns, or are you all going to allow rifles?
As of right now, from what the DNR office in Wyndham has told us, is it is such a hot button thing. Depending on what the county, it's in Jackson County. Whatever the county decides will be what happens down there, more than likely. But for at least next year, it's still going to be shotgun.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still going to be the same way. They're going to let it ride for at least a year, and then they may let us open it up to something else. We've had quite a few different firearms already in there. We've had muzzle loaders. We've had that AR pistol. If you were to ask me what the most popular shotgun is right now, it's that Savage 220. This year, we had, out of the 6 kids that were down there, we had 3 Savage 220s being shot.
Nice.
And
can't go wrong with it,
Right.
no, and we'll get into the reason for it here in a while, but I've got 2 guns that are sighted in for copper, and one of them's a Savage 220, and the other one's a Mossberg 835, and those 2 guns are always with me while we're down there, just in case somebody has an issue, and that goes back to when I was hunting with my kids the first year that they hunted back in 2017. So, but yeah, we'll get back to that. We'll just let Matt talk for a minute before I get into it.
Yeah, let's hear it, Matt. Tell us all about your experience.
I think I might be one of the closest people that live to the park, because I only live like 4.5, 5 miles from the park. But it's like as soon as you get out of that river bottom area, deer are very far and few between, just because there's so much crop fields and everything. They've been taking out groves and stuff that we used to do deer drives with, or I really wasn't a part of it. I had to just sit in the pickup and watch my dad and my uncle do 2-man deer drives. Now that's pretty wild. There's a lot of deer there. Yeah, little acreages that have been abandoned is crazy.
Yeah, right.
But I think it was actually my second deer that I've ever shot was in the woods. So that was really cool. And I remember that first morning of the hunt, I had never heard like an actual like buck grunt or snort wheeze or anything like that. And then that morning, it took the cake for that, because it was like the full rutting action was in effect. I wasn't sure if there was a speaker sitting behind me or something. There was deer. It seemed like it was all around, and at the bottom of that hill, it's thick. It's really thick. And if the deer weren't walking down the actual human trails, you weren't able to see them.
Yeah. Wow.
You can sure see them at 100 to 150 yards running along this hillside, and it was almost irritating, because do I shoot at one or do I not? And a couple of times I did, just because they were standing still right out there in the open. But 12-year-old me couldn't pull it off.
That happens.
12 or 13, and it was just a bird barrel, just a smoothbore barrel on a 20 gauge.
Oh wow!
I actually broke the bead off of the tip of the sight. I forget when that happened, and then we pulled the gun out and realized they didn't have it, so we went to Runnings and cut the top off of a fishing bobber. Moved it on to the end.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah, that's some redneck ingenuity right there.
All right, got it done.
Yeah. You might be a redneck if you use a fishing bobber as a shotgun.
Exactly.
Right.
It was
That's awesome.
a the moment thing, because there was no way I was going to shoot my dad's 12 gauge at that time. It would have put me on the ground.
Yeah, should have been using a tip up.
Right.
Well, tell us about Jacob's experience.
Yep. So my youngest brother, and actually all of my brothers have, both Nick and Jacob have done the hunt. Jacob did it last year, and I got to mentor him on the hunt. We went out and set up his blind and stuff, kind of figured out about the crop fields that were around the park and which crops they're most likely to go to. The most popular one was the cornfield. Kind of a little bit disappointed there. It's like maybe it would get cold and they'd be going to the beans, but because they had one that was unharvested that was about a half mile away. So it's pretty easy for those deer to migrate that far to go feed.
Yeah.
And we got set up, and I was talking him through all the different shot angles that we'd probably have, because you don't really know where these deer are going to come out of the woods or present themselves, because we were on the west side, southwest side, where there's a little patch of prairie grass, maybe about an acre in size along the edge of the property there. And so we got kind of tucked back in the corner, so we were 80 yards from the property line. Figuring they'd come out into the woods and give us plenty of time to shoot one coming out into that CRP grass. And that first morning, Walt came out, and I went through the shot with him straight on, because that previous year I'd shot 2 bucks party hunting, and they were both straight on shots. And just kind of talking him through of how to do that, because I knew it was probably going to happen, and he pulled it off on I think it was a doe fawn. So he had a small target to go off of already, and
yeah,
you already then shooting it frontal shot, you minimizes that even smaller.
Right.
For sure.
And then he took another one on Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was it Sunday or was it that next afternoon? Yeah, it was Sunday, wasn't it?
I think it was
You
nice.
guys were using a muzzle loader too, weren't you?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't you that had the wet powder, was it?
No.
Nope.
No. There was another hunter that was using a muzzle loader with loose powder. Had a doe walk by fairly close, pulled the trigger on it, and went. All it set off was the primer. And they did not have any tools with them or anything. They ended up coming all the way out. Denis has a schedule that he has while we're down at the park, and I do too, of what we do. And they happened to come out while he was in his scouting location watching, and I happened to be driving by at the same time, and luckily I had a gun cleaning kit, and we were able to get it cleaned and reloaded, and they ended up going back down, and I'm not sure if they harvested one
That
afternoon. So, but that goes back to, that's one of the reasons why I always have those guns with me.
Extra guns,
My
yeah.
son Wyatt this year actually mentored one of the hunters, because the hunter's sister went to state for cross country, which happened to be the same weekend.
Oh.
And I've had both of that young man's sisters have been in that hunt before, and I know their family fairly well, and they wanted to make sure that he got the opportunity. So Wyatt sat with him, and he ended up using that Savage 220 and missed that morning. But he did harvest one with his dad that evening when his dad did get back from the state cross-country meet. We figured the morning when he missed, it was nerves and the fact that he was...
Didn't have Dad there.
That'll happen.
Yeah, we've all been there. Although my daughter, her first deer, she got, because I wasn't there, so that probably helped her.
Right.
Yeah,
You've had issues with the muzzleloader, right?
Well, yeah.
Me?
Jimmy's
shoot deer with them.
Jimmy's muzzleloader has been loaded since 2018.
Right.
He just takes the primer out and puts it in his gun cabinet.
That is
Still
actually
kills deer.
That's
It is
actually
true.
not a lie.
That's
It is
not a
true.
lie.
But there was one of the first years that we were out muzzleloader hunting, and I think you took a shot and it didn't fire. You took the primer out.
Yeah, that powder was expired.
And then we walked back, and he's like, "I'm just going to shoot at this hillside because I don't."
I think you're right.
Yeah.
That was my first muzzle. That was like an old I don't even remember.
It's like an old tradition.
Traditions.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like one of those kit guns that
Right.
obviously he put together. And I remember you put the primer
Had
and
a
you
bunch
shot.
of extra parts.
I remember you pulled the trigger. There wasn't a boom. And we're both like, what the hell? And then boom. And it's like, oh my God. Yeah. I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, that'll happen.
That was quite a few
Like
years
a
ago.
little flintlock.
Yep.
Right.
It sure seemed like
If you pull that trigger and you just hold on and wait.
Yep. Pull the trigger and just keep following your target.
Yep.
It'll happen sometime this evening.
Right. Exactly.
So
So I'm going to back up to your question about what's the future of the Kilen Woods State Park hunt.
Yeah.
Well, I think as long as we have youth that want to participate, the chapter is committed to do it. We actually this year had to purchase 3 new blinds because when we went out to set them up and check them over, we had 3 blinds that were totally destroyed. So we had to end up finding blinds to do it, and we ended up with 3 4-man tide weave 270 see-throughs.
Oh yeah, those are nice.
Purchased, and all of our other ones are 10 years old, and they were used when we got them. So we made the decision to go ahead and buy 4 more for next year. So we have 7 virtually brand new 3 4-man tide weave 270 viz blinds to go along with it.
Nice.
Yeah, those
Great,
are cool.
great
Yeah,
blinds.
they're neat.
so
2 years ago, we upgraded
half the
to
chairs.
huh?
Half the chairs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we had chairs, a little fold up blind chairs in there, and 2 years ago we updated and went with swivel with adjustable leg, two leg adjustables, and added those to our blinds. So,
Even better.
so we've made some investments into the program. And we've still got a good support group that we have 4 to 5 adults that come down to assist in recovery. So we've got those people that are still willing to help. So I think that we're probably pretty well into a long-term program.
Nice.
Nice.
So did we say like exactly what time frame this hunt is?
I don't believe we did. No, we didn't.
I don't think we did either.
That's I did have that written down.
So this hunt, typically this year and next year will be the same because I've already advocated for the same weekends to be involved. Typically, we set up blinds the Sunday afternoon of the MEA Youth Deer Hunt is typically when the blinds were being set. This year, luckily, there was 2 weekends in between firearm season and the youth hunt, so we were able to move it back a week. And then the hunt itself is always the weekend prior to firearms deer season. So it is the deer are still dumb, we'll put it that way. And the ones that are in that park, I think it was the year that you hunted. One of the kids had a doe shove its head in the blind.
You just grab it.
Hold on.
Yeah. So I told my son about that when they got to hunt. He was like, "Dad, what would you do if that happened?" I was like, "Turn the gun around and whack it over the head."
Well, that's not very good advice from a firearm safety instructor there, Brian. Take the primer out first.
That's right.
First, my pants would be wet.
Well, I had a few experiences down there. I helped the 2016. I came down. My wife and I came down and helped. 2017, both my kids got in, and I'm going to tell the story because I've alluded to it a few times. we had gotten a new shotgun for one of my kids, and my daughter was using my grandpa's shotgun, and that had a True Glow extended bead on it. And I was dumb and made the assumption that both guns were sighted improperly.
Well, we've all done that.
Yeah.
And neither one of them were. So I always get ribbed about that, and I always ask the kids when they come down for the orientation, are your guns sighted in? Have you shot them? And
Don't be like me.
yeah, don't do what I do. My kids ask me, did you sight my gun in this year, Dad? Or after that, I heard it all the time. I sometimes get ribbed by Dennis or my wife.
No.
Or whoever.
Now, after telling this story, you're getting rid of my too, but sorry.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry. I'm making Dennis sound like an asshole. Dennis is a great guy. He has opinions and he will make them known.
the gun she was using was a 20 gauge 1100 smooth barrel, and she probably went through 5 boxes of rifled slugs and never hit a thing the entire weekend. And one of the stories that came out of that was we were sitting in a blind 7, which is at the bottom of what's called Dinosaur Ridge, and she had shot at a doe. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go check for blood. I'll be right back. And I walked out to go check for blood, and as I'm out there checking for blood, I hear hooves on wood. And I look over, and there is 6 deer coming across a bridge that is about 30 yards from us, headed our direction. And I ended up crouching down behind a tree and waiting. And as I was sitting there, I had one of them come close enough that if I would have had my knife out and I got picked on about it because I didn't do it, I could have stabbed one of them as it went by. It brushed against my sleeve as it went by the tree.
So that's good scent control.
Right?
Wildlife research? Come on.
Honestly, knowing Brian, I'm impressed.
Not knowing the right. File that was left after he moved.
And, my daughter, she waited until those deer were almost out of range for her, and then she did take a couple shots at those. She was hunter, being safe with Dad out there hugging a tree while the deer were running by. But yeah, that was one experience with that I will never forget.
Heck no.
And for me, this, and something I wanted to talk about here was, my first deer season was 1991. At 12 years old.
Good year.
Was it?
It was a great year.
Some of your parents.
How many remember that year?
I remember it well.
Trust me, all of us do.
It was dark. I saw a bright light. I followed that bright light and came into the world.
So,
Damn that.
I had a girlfriend.
well, all I know is for me, it was a very, that was my first year hunting. And of course, it was the weekend after the snowstorm, the Halloween storm.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So, me at 12 years old walking through snowdrifts with my dad and my grandpa, that was my first experience with deer camp. And then I hunted with some guys up by Redwood Falls for a few years. And after that, this became deer camp for us because the way we hunt right now is we drive from our house 20 miles to where we deer hunt every year. This is my deer camp. And
Nice.
as of starting last year, we started pulling our ice castle down and staying down there because the law of averages, driving back and forth, we have had 2 deer hit on the road by people that were coming down to the hunt.
Perfect.
And,
Right. You just got meat for camp then.
one of them totaled.
Now, when you hit them at 70 miles an hour,
Yeah, that's not ideal.
No, it's definitely not.
You got to slow down a bit.
Hamburger, yeah. So
Right.
my wife and I decided that we are just going to stay down there, and we've been doing that the last couple of years. So this is our deer camp, and so one thing that I'm going to do a shout out for is Matt's dad, Gene, Spanky, Gene.
Andy?
Andy?
yeah, his dad's Andy.
Oh, your dad's Andy.
Andy,
My
yeah.
bad.
Yes.
But
I don't even-
we have another Gene Peterson, Peterson, who his kids have been in it a couple of times,
His son
and
hunted 3 times.
his son's hunted it 3 times. He supplies the breakfast Saturday morning. So I want to, thank him for that. We have a couple of different restaurants in town, Jack Slade Steakhouse, and then the Shed down in Lakefield supply the noon meals. My wife Heidi and I have done the evening meal for the last 4 years, I think. We do, I know last episode you guys were talking about tacos. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And venison tacos, and if we were to do something different, I think we'd get in trouble. But yeah, all these area businesses and people that help us out. I mean, it's awesome.
The neighboring landowners.
And of course, the neighboring landowners are awesome about letting us, use their property to access for recovery and setup for the blinds for some of the spots. Like there's a couple, like the one at the top of what we call Heart Attack Hill, which is aptly named because, if you're out of shape, it'll do you. It's bad.
I'm going to stay away from that one.
Yeah. We had to take a break walking to my stand the other day, and that's across the field.
But no, Brian, I think what you're getting at here is something that too many hunters in the state of Minnesota take for granted, and that is how ingrained deer hunting is in our culture here in Minnesota, and how easy it is to find support for these types of opportunities for young hunters to get involved.
Right.
At the same time, I feel like there's almost more supply than there is demand. You know what I mean? Like, you can go out and you can get supporters for a youth hunt all day. How do we keep getting those youth hunters interested in those opportunities?
Right.
And that's where I am so proud to be a part of the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association, because I think first and foremost, that is our mission. It's perpetuating this tradition for future generations. And that is 100% thanks to chapters like the Des Moines Valley chapter and the Kilen Woods Youth Hunt, the Sturgeon River chapter and the McCarthy Beach Hunt that they are, I think it's a platinum sponsor of. I know we've got Snake River chapter that just did a special hunt this year.
Right.
I mean, I could go on and on, right? It's such a focus of the deer hunters, and it makes me proud to, I don't know, do I say leading this organization?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
You could say that.
Some
I guess
capacity.
on paper, one could make that argument.
Right. Well, I think it's fair.
no, I'm so honored to be a part of fulfilling that mission, and so grateful for chapters and individuals like yourselves.
Absolutely.
And Matt, I mean, couldn't do it without the participants, you know?
Right.
And to come back and then mentor your brother, like,
Yeah, how cool is that?
I would mentor anyone all day long, but do not stick me in a blind with my brother, because I'm coming home with a felony.
Yeah, that's the awesome part when you have it come full circle. When the kids, and having done this for 10 years, we have that opportunity where it comes full circle, where we have young adults that hunted this coming back and mentoring someone else.
Right,
you know,
right.
be it Matt, be it my son who stepped up and was able to do that. So, you know, it's an awesome to have that come full circle. You know, I'm so happy to be involved in it. Seeing the noon meals are just nuts. Listening to these kids talk about, well, I saw this.
Squirrels. The squirrel.
Those damn squirrels, right?
Well, yeah, he's going to have to compete with those guys.
Oh man.
The one thing that I really enjoy and glad it come this way is that, you know, we initially looked at this as being a kind of a guided hunt and putting out this all together. But you see those kids, you see them on Friday night at orientation, and you can hardly get a word out of them. And Saturday morning at breakfast, you got to force them to have something to eat. By Sunday afternoon at the noon meal, because we make everybody come in and have dinner together. So we're getting that partnership and camaraderie together. By Sunday afternoon when they come in, it's like, I want to say, a no ladies gab session. The little chatter that's going around all over the chalet with different people talking about different things. I mean, just so relaxing and so interesting to hear what some of the hunters really pay attention to about nature.
Yeah.
And about enjoying being out there, and the thank yous that we get from those hunters and dads and moms about allowing us to help them show their children nature and what it's all about.
Absolutely. You know, and I think, I mean, for one, it's so important to get kids out there and experiencing deer hunting, right? But I think what too many hunters these days don't get the opportunity to experience is the camaraderie of deer camp. You know, like I lived in Colorado for 15 years, and a bunch of friends out there that hunted, and I hunted, but it's a different kind of hunting. You know, there is no deer camp. And I think that might be the way to reach out and get new people involved is not necessarily through the hunt, but through the
entire experience,
the fellowship.
Right.
You know,
absolutely.
And so, yeah, anytime we have the opportunity to provide that experience, I think we got to take it.
Mm-hmm.
That first morning going into that, what is it, like a shelter house?
The chalet.
Yeah, the chalet. They had the campfire, like the fire going inside of the fireplace and everything. You could just smell the fire from outside. Like it was like actual deer camp.
Yeah,
Like it would be like something from a movie almost.
Mm-hmm.
Just everybody meeting up and talking and getting to know everybody and hearing their stories, their crazy stories. I mean, you can just imagine us as like from like 12 to 15? How old are we?
12 to 16.
12 to 16-year-olds, what kind of stories we could come up with.
Right.
I can still remember a few of them that I was told.
Yeah, all that was missing was the Jimmers singing on the roof.
Right.
Well, and then you got stories from Brian. I mean, that's got to be half of the fun too.
I think Brian is the Minnesota Jimmers.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got plenty. Some of them aren't safe. So,
Wow, not until later, deer camp.
That's all right.
right after hours deer
Yeah,
camp.
Dean will demonstrate our editing capabilities here. You can say whatever you want, and he'll make it family friendly.
I'll beep all we want.
Yeah.
I can tell you that one of the things we do that I try and get everybody to do Saturday morning after the kids have left is I will usually go around to everybody that's sitting there and say, all right.
All right. For the folks at home, he didn't say anything inappropriate.
We're just messing with
Go
them.
around the room and make a plan on, or place wagers on which stand is going to have the first deer. Which one am I going to get text from first? Which one's going to shoot first? And we're always wrong. We're never right.
Yep.
It's always one that we didn't expect it to be. But yeah, that's one of the things we like to do. Dennis has his schedule right around sunup. He'll go over and he has a specific campsite that everyone that comes to camp, we had 3 campers sitting it was deer camp this year. We had 3 ice castles sitting there. But everybody was told, do not park in this one, otherwise it's getting pushed down the hill by his little Ford Ranger. Because that's his spot. And then he and another guy have Sean Young will go and sit and scout, glass that area and watch it. And I go out and drive around the outside of the park to drive the roads out. And I always get a text from them. We see you. Get to a certain spot. And, they're looking to see what's going on over there. I can see a couple of the blinds when I go and drive around that. So I kind of look and see what's, happening so that, so I can kind of report back of what I'm seeing. This year we did something a little different with the kids. We did a group text. So one of the issues that we have is I would get texts. Somebody in blind 1 would shoot. Well, down in that river bottom, you can be sitting. You have no idea where that shot's coming from.
Right.
And
it goes all the way through.
They'll shoot, and I will get 5 text messages from the other blind saying, who shot?
Yep.
So to mitigate that, I just put everybody together so everybody's talking to each other and everybody knows what everybody else is doing. And the awesome thing this year was that actually kept going through regular firearms season. We were getting texts. I sent out a text right before firearms season that said, if any of these kids get a deer, harvest something during the regular season, we want to see it. Let's celebrate that on this. And we saw several that got deer, and it was an awesome deal for that.
Yeah.
We're using technology a little bit more. The biggest technological breakthrough we had before 2020 was how long is that rope? We got to talk about our rope.
Yeah.
You talk about your rope.
I'm intrigued.
I'm intrigued, yeah.
So the president, prior to me, somehow got a hold of a rope, and I don't know where he got it from, if he went up Duluth and stole it off a ship or something, but it is long enough that it reaches from the campground all the way to the bottom of that sledding hill, which
Quite. It's 300. It's about 300 feet long. It's about an inch in diameter,
Wow.
and they used it to throw it down the sledding hill, and then hook the cart, the deer cart, onto that, and then you drive the truck ahead and pull the cart up the hill.
There you go.
Nice.
because we are not
Or
allowed to use
hook it up to me and pull my fat ass up the hill.
Right? Can I go in the cart?
I think didn't somebody actually said I'm going to sit on the deer and ride it up at
Right,
one point.
yeah.
I don't think they did, but
Grab onto his legs. Pull me up.
that's what we did at one point.
Yeah. Because we can't use any motorized vehicles.
Oh,
And being uphill both ways, that's tough.
that sucks.
Although, you know, they did say everything there is uphill both ways. And then every story they've told has been, you know, down in the river bottom.
Right, right,
When they go down, but then they come back up.
right.
Right. That's true.
No matter where you go,
You
you're
go down
coming
to
up.
get to the blind, it's coming back up. That's the bitch.
Right.
Right.
Makes sense.
And you know, I mentioned earlier that there was ample deer down in there, and I haven't done it the last few years, but the first few years I kept track because I asked everybody to come back in on what they saw. How many did they see, and from what blind it was, and all that stuff. And I would say, on an average, the average blind, if they don't see anywhere from, in the 2 days, if they don't see 10 to 30 deer per blind.
Wow.
It's rare. I mean, there's a lot of deer down.
I think you need to take that big ass rope and start lassoing some of them and bringing them up to our neck of the woods.
Right. No doubt.
You know, and we have,
Can't do that, Jared.
you know, we've talked about the fact, you know, we've got 6 hunters. We've actually got 7 blinds because we want the kids to have an opportunity. If they're not seeing anything, we encourage them to sit in their blind the first day. And if they don't if it's not productive, we have a little leeway on where we can move those blinds within we have a small area that we can shift them, like Matt.
Yeah, Matt moved his, yeah.
But you know, it is a 202 acre park. You know, we can't be making real drastic moves because that ravine and hillside might be the only thing between you and another blind. But we also have that extra blind so that somebody can go in there if need be the next day. The other thing is if we have had, I think the record for the fastest kid to limit out is, I think it was 2020, which we actually had the hunt during COVID. We forced it. But we had a kid that he shot his doe, and as I was driving over to help recover the doe, I got another text from him that he had his buck down and they were laying within 30 yards of each other.
I believe that.
Probably a hot doe.
Yeah.
So
And that particular his uncle who was mentoring him, who has mentored 4 hunters, and he has mentored them at Chetek State Park, and he mentored one of them at Pipestone. And he come to me, and I know him, used to work with him at Toro, but he come and he says, you know, this hunt is such a special hunt for the kids. It's unbelievable of what you guys do, because you guys are do a hunt that is a hunt of a lifetime, and they get the opportunity to participate.
Well said, Dennis. We'll end it here as we had some technical difficulties. If you are in the area, check out the Des Moines Valley chapter of the MDHA. This youth deer hunt is one of a kind and a great way to introduce kids to our great sport. Thank you, Brian, Dennis, and Matt.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association has been building our hunting and conservation legacy over the past 40 plus years through habitat, education, advocacy, and legislation in Minnesota for Minnesota.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association and wolf.report proudly sponsor this podcast. However, please note that the opinions, topics, and guests featured may not necessarily align with the views, beliefs, goals, or mission of our sponsors.